Hey guys, it's been a whole 20 minutes since I have last streamed. I am back with Kendall. We were meant to stream yesterday during our usual Premier League show. I was out interviewing people on the streets of Madrid. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. But I was like, you know what? It's Champions League week. I don't really feel like talking about the Premier League so much. I just feel like talking about the Champions League. So let's just do that. And Kendall is actually a massive Atletico fan. She's the perfect person to have on right ahead of the game. How are you feeling about it?
So I just have to tell some little wild child in the background to be quiet. Yeah, do you know what? I'm really looking forward to it. I think initially when this draw was obviously done, it was, oh, Man City are going to win. We were written off straight away. I saw a lot of really terrible narratives in the media afterwards. And even like there was journalists, Pep Guardiola had even said to a journalist, no, thank you. Pep Guardiola had even said to a journalist, you know, like your narrative is so wrong. Like what you're saying is, and I'm not going to answer any questions about it because it's incredibly wrong. So that was that. I mean, I know the narrative around Simeone is not great, especially in the UK, because I don't think a lot of people watch La Liga here regularly on a regular basis. You don't find that. If they are, you know, it's casual football fans, and usually they see us playing what I like to call pragmatic football, especially in tournaments, defensive, park the bus football, which unfortunately is what I think we'll do today, simply because we're playing away from home. So I do think that that'll be what happens today, but we will see. I am looking forward to it though. I'm just looking at the lineup now actually, which is
that's great.
Yeah, it's just come out.
Yeah,
so Renan Lodi, Ronaldo, Felipe, Savic, and Vasalco. It was said when we played Alaves the other night that Jimenez was going to be out because he came off injured. So we actually only really have one real centre back there. And then Koke, Kondogbia, Llorente, Griezmann, and João Felix. So not my favourite lineup.
Doesn't they usually play like right back or right wing back?
Yeah, right wing back, right back. He has been, because we obviously signed a right back in January, and he got injured in 2 games, did his ACL, which is exciting. So yeah, I'm not the greatest lineup, but it's okay.
So what do you think the reason for this lineup is? Do you think that it's, well, I don't watch Atletico week in, week out like you do, so I'm not too familiar with their like typical starting 11. So is this back five a formation that you would normally see Atletico playing?
Not at the minute. We've been playing a back four. So back five, we have seen it, especially last season when were absolutely wiped out with injuries when we played you guys in the groups. In the round of 16 last season. We were like heavily hit with COVID, and after that we did see a back five for a long while. But actually lately it hasn't been a back five, but I'm not surprised because, as I said, it's going to be extremely defensive. And I knew probably going into this it would be a back five tonight.
Interesting. I'm just looking at the lineup. Who do you think is going to be like the most important player? Maybe aside from João Felix, because I think we all think like, oh, João, he's the one.
Yeah, exactly. He's been on form lately. Like super good form. I've always said they just need a consistent run without any injuries, and that's what's happened. And he's just looked incredible. So I'm looking at that, and there isn't really any attacking outlets there because we're now playing Kondogbia in midfield, which is a DM, along with a back five, Koke and Llorente in midfield. So really, when you look at that, there is only actually 3 attacking players on the pitch. There's only Llorente, Griezmann, and João Felix on the pitch, attacking wise. So I wouldn't necessarily say that there's maybe anyone that they should be worried about. Only if Renan Lodi decides to kind of take on a Carrasco type role on that left wing and he bombs forward and leaves Kondogbia a little bit deep, maybe then that is going to be a little bit unexpected because I don't obviously think a lot of people will know how Lodi plays like that. So if that happens, then I can see a little bit of a shock. But other than that, I'm looking at that now and there's not really any any worry if I was Man City in terms of attack and wise. They're just going to have to deal with the fact it's going to be a low block. And luckily, if is what to be said from Man City fans, they struggle against low block teams. So I'm almost hoping that is what happens. And hopefully Griezmann is on Champions League form and not league form. They're two very, very, very different things.
I feel like, I don't know, like at least when I watch him in the Champions League, like you said, like I feel like he always has the potential at least to like pull something out really special. Like, you know, that there's a good player in there, and maybe these like Champions League nights have really come up for it. It's really interesting. So obviously a very, very defensive lineup from Atletico Madrid, maybe a little bit more defensive than we were even thinking before the match. There's no away goals, so the away goals doesn't matter, but it does look like they're trying to go in, limit the amount of goals that City will score as much as possible, and then bring it back to the Wanda Metropolitano. I try not to call it just the Wanda because my friend who's an Atletico supporter said, no, it's not the Wanda. That's like calling it the Spotify. We have to call it the Wanda Metropolitano because eventually they will not be the sponsor anymore, and it's not going to be the Wanda anymore. But it's just such a mouthful that I hate. I don't usually.
The Wanda's okay.
Taking a look at Man City's lineup quickly, we have Ederson starting, Stones, Laporte, Ake. I think it's Ake.
Yeah, Ake.
Cancelo. I'm kind of surprised about him. I do think. That
back four is weird. Like for them, this is the thing though. Pep does this. He overthinks things. Like that back four is not something he would play in the league. I'm telling you now, it's just not.
Is it 3 center backs?
Yeah, Stones, Ake, and
then Cancelo.
Yeah, and Cancelo.
And then Cancelo can play on either side of the wing.
He's got Bernardo. When I'm looking at here, it looks like Bernardo Silva in the front three.
Bernardo Silva.
Honestly, when I'm looking on Google at the lineups, that's what it's put.
I'm just looking at like the starting 11 here on my phone.
So when I'm looking at the Google, so I'm just looking at the lineups there. It's like a back four of John Stones, Ake, Laporte, and Cancelo. I mean, I don't know if Google's right because it looks odd when I'm looking at this, but then De Bruyne, Rodri, and Gundogan in midfield. Then Mahrez, Silva, and Sterling.
Well, Kyle Walker isn't on the bench, so maybe he's out injured. I thought that he was ready to be. I thought I saw that he was ready to be back for this match. Maybe not. I could have sworn that I saw that he was going to be fit though for it. I'm looking at the back for John's. This has John Stones as a right back.
Yeah, it does on Google as well. Yeah,
I've never seen him play as a right back before. A midfield three of De Bruyne, Rodri, and Gundogan, which makes sense. And then a front three of Mahrez, Sterling, and Bernardo Silva. Very interesting. Very, very interesting. How do you think, like, I'm just looking at the lineup here.
People are saying Kyle Walker's suspended.
Suspended. Okay.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. Sorry, guys. I did not know that. I just see like the lineup here, and you go to Atletico, and it's like bam, like
just defense. Do you know what? It's actually a little bit frustrating because I knew that's what would happen, right? But everyone's gonna be like, "Oh well, we told you it was park the bus football. We told you Simeone just played defensive football." And it's gonna be like they fell into the narrative so well. But like, if you just watch it, he hasn't been as successful as he is playing attacking football. He plays specifically in tournaments. He plays pragmatic football. Like literally, he will defend if he needs to. He will attack if he needs to, and he'll just figure it out based on what the other team's got to do. That's just how he always has been. So, but now it's going to be like, oh well, the English media are going to be like, well, we told you, we told you Simeone is going to come here and park the bus, and he has. But we'll see what happens because that lineup for Man City is strange, and I don't know whether Pep's either just thinking that this is maybe an easy tie. I don't think he thinks it's an easy tie though, because there's quite in reality there's quite a lot of respect between both of them, and I think he kind of understands what Simeone has done over the past few years, and they know each other quite well. So I don't know whether he thinks it's an easy tie, but that lineup to me is like something that we would just not see from him in the league unless he was playing maybe like a Norwich. And I wouldn't like to think that he puts on the same level as Norwich. So yeah, it'll be very interesting.
I'm like pretty surprised. Like, oh, I know that he attacks a lot, that he changes his lineup a lot, but I'm kind of surprised that we don't see like Phil Foden, who I think has been like a bright spark for them. And one of the questions that I kind of posed going into this match for both Liverpool and Man City is that they face each other in the league this weekend. Man City play at home to Liverpool, so it's a bit more difficult for Liverpool. But if that was going to affect either side in their team selection, because that could potentially be a big decider in the title race, which has kind of come out of nowhere. So looking at this lineup, now that we see it, do you think that Pep kind of has an eye on the game against Liverpool at the weekend as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Because they were so clear of the league at one point, I don't think he's going to want to give that up this year, because realistically the league to him is probably more feasible in a sense than the Champions League, because just how many people you've got to get through and how many amazing teams you've got to get through when you're playing the Champions League. So I don't think he's given up the Champions League in a sense. That's not how I mean, but I think that this game against Liverpool will be absolutely on his mind. He'll want to rest people if possible, knowing that we are going to come and be defensive. I think that's what he's done. He's wanted to maybe judge the game and see that he doesn't really need his best attackers on, because that is how we're going to show up regardless. So he'll probably be looking at maybe the second leg, knowing that we're at home and that is when we're going to come out to play a little bit. And then he might play his attackers because we're going to be more open then. I don't know what maybe the thought process is, but that's maybe what I'm thinking. Because I think he would know point blank that we were going to show up today and just be defensive. I don't think he thought we were ever going to come and start playing like 6 attackers. We wouldn't do that. We don't do that at the best of times, especially not against Man City in a quarterfinal. So, yeah, I think that's probably what his thought process is. And that Liverpool game is definitely going to be, in my opinion, obviously the decider. So I think you're probably right there, definitely.
That's a really interesting point, because I would have, if I were thinking about it, or I'm not a manager, obviously, and this is why they get paid the big bucks, but I would think like, oh, let me try to like get everything I can at the home fixture. Because when I go away, I'm going to have all of the crowd against me, and the Wanda is Metropolitano is mad. That capacity is so large. The fans, they sing so much. I really enjoy the games that I've been to at the Wanda, and it's a really good point that you make that, well, if Atletico are playing at home, they're probably going to want to like go out and attack a little bit more, and then that's when City can really attack them. So I thought that was a really interesting point. How do you see this game kind of going down? What do you expect, knowing how both teams are set up, kind of the game plan? But do you think that Atletico are going to be able to kind of like achieve what they want? What do you think they're trying to achieve? Like, do you think they're trying to like just nick a goal or play for the draw? Like, how do you think they're going for it?
Yeah, 100%. I don't think we've looked at that and thought, right, let's just score as many as we can and press and attack. Because looking at that lineup, that's obviously not what Simeone is set out to do. He is basically, I'm not saying that there's going to be much damage, but just I think in his mind, it's like try and keep it at 0-0 if possible, or at least 1-1. Try and keep the scoreline as low as possible. Try and counter, which is exactly what we did against Man United. Normally what we do, especially in Champions League, is we sit back for 20 minutes, judge the game, see how they are going to play. We just sit back a little bit, and then the game plan goes from there. That's kind of how Simeone goes into a game, especially in a tournament, because he doesn't like to misjudge it and then have to work to get it back to if plan A hasn't worked. So I think that's what we'll do. They will obviously just attack, I assume, because even though they haven't got their best 11, I would say out, that's just what Man City do. That's how Man City play. You do not see Pep Guardiola go into a game and say, let's park the bus, because they don't need to. Like, they're good enough to not need to do that ever. So I don't think they're going to do that. They're going to press. We're just going to have to defend. It's probably going to be 7 behind the ball at any one time, at least. So, yeah, I think it'll be very interesting tactically because they are so different tactically, the managers. So it's either going to be a brilliant matchup in terms of we're going to cancel each other out a little bit. Scoreline's going to be a bit poor, or it's going to go one or the other way. We're going to judge the game extremely well, completely limit their options, or they're going to figure us out straight away, and and it's going to be a big scoreline. So yeah, I think it'll be really, really interesting watching. Plus, we've never played each other.
Interesting.
Never. So I can't even say like, oh, this is what happened last time because we've never played each other. So yeah, very, very interesting.
That's what I was going to say. That what was I going to say? You just said it, and I'm completely blanking right now.
Like a tactical matchup. They're very different.
That's thank you. That's what I was going to say. That you have these like two really opposing forces in Man City that they just attack, and Atletico tend to be really strong defensively. So it's kind of like these two like forces going up against each other to see which one will crack first. And what a lot of people might not know is that Atletico have been in really good form in La Liga. They have 5 wins in their last 5 games. I didn't get a chance to watch the game against, I think it was Deportivo Alaves.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
I saw that I watched the highlights. I saw that they kind of like were tied, and then at the end, the scoreline really flipped into their favor. But kind of knowing that the league is already out of the question for Atletico, do you think that that's going to kind of like give them even more to focus on in this UCL match?
100%. This is the last thing. I think because the future of Simeone is just so up in the air at the moment, and despite the fact that people might not, they might think, oh, he'll never leave. It kind of is. This is the first time that we've ever seen any other managers be linked to the job or anything like that. Obviously, Simeone's come out and said he's not leaving. Our president has come out and said he's not leaving, which makes sense. They're not going to want to say that he is, but the UCL is the last thing that he needs. He's won everything else at the club that is possible. So this is the last thing he needs. And obviously, with the really sad death of his father last week, this is going to be really play on his mind because that is something his dad always wanted him to do, was win the Champions League. So it's going to be on his mind significantly now. So I really think this is going to be huge. It's probably going to be one of the biggest. It sounds mad because it's only a quarterfinal, but I genuinely think that this tie with Man City is going to be one of the biggest of his career, because depending on what happens now in UCL, as you say, league's out of the question, not in any other cups. Copa del Rey was finished, didn't do anything with that. Supercopa España, that's done. So yeah, this is the last thing that he needs to win. So this will be really, really huge for him now.
Yeah, it's going to, like you said, it's going to be massive. And that's why when I saw the lineup, or when the draw was done, I was like, don't count Atletico out of this match. Like, a lot of people are writing them off, saying that, oh, it's going to be a walk in the park for Man City. I really don't think that it is going to be. And I thought that, I know Manchester United are not nearly on the same level as Manchester City at all, by any means. But I thought that they played really well against United, especially in that first half. I was at the game. They could have had 2, 3, maybe even 4 goals. Like, they got unlucky. They had the ball hits the crossbar, I think, 2 times in that match. And in that match, again, obviously, United, they have more of the ball. They don't do so much with it. They're kind of like struggling with their identity as a team this season. City aren't going to struggle like that. But I was really impressed with the way that Atletico were able to kind of like defend and then pick their moments. And then in their moments, they look really good. And Joao Felix just looks incredible and in great form. So I think that he's going to be super important. I would love to see him score at the end.
I would love it. I would literally love it, especially like with all the rumors that Pep wants him as a false 9 and all this. Honestly, it's almost like, don't go there and audition. Like, please don't. But at the same time, like, I want him at just the Champions League again for him. Like, this is something, a stage that he can step up on now, because he's shown what he can do in the league. So he now needs to consistently do it in the Champions League. So yeah, I would love Joao. I would literally love Joao to score, and I really, really would love it.
Like, go crazy. Like, I don't know if you guys know, I've kind of said it, like, Atletico are kind of my team here. Like, if I had to pick a team, I don't like actively support them so much. Like, if Atletico play against City, play against Chelsea, I'm 1,000% going to go for Chelsea. But I do like root for them. Like, here. I don't really go. I don't know. Real Madrid, I felt like has too many like followers.
Yeah, 100%. And
I'm gonna go
they're not as like Real Madrid are like, because Atleti are the underdog, so like you're always like kind of, that's obviously
exactly.
that's not the reason why I supported them, obviously, because it was Torres, but like we're kind of like the underdog, so I think it's a good choice. It's a good choice. That's me being biased, but it's a good choice.
And their training ground is actually like 5 minutes from my apartment. It's right here. Like I should really take advantage of that. So if you guys know, thanks so much for the super chat. It means a lot because it's been a really long day and I'm freaking exhausted. So thank you. They said City will win the game comfortably. I don't know how comfortably. Like I really think it depends as well, like who scores the first goal, because I could see if City score a goal first, I don't know how Atletico would react, if they would kind of allow the floodgates to open or if they would say, okay, it's fine, let's go get one back. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it'll definitely be a second option because that's what we've always done, always fought back. Like that's just how, like the Atleti DNA, that is how what we're built on, always like having a fight for every single thing. So yeah, I think to be honest, if they score first, I won't be too worried. It's if we score first, because I find a lot of the times if we score first, the team equalizes pretty like simply after that, and it's a bit odd. I don't know why that's the case, but it always seems to be the case if we concede early that something like the team scores against us. So yeah, I would rather. It depends how the game's going. If I can see that they're pressing a lot and then we go and score, that would concern me a lot because we kind of switch off a little bit. But if they score one and we're all right and we're still in the game, then I wouldn't be too worried.
God,
I think I may be a bit too like I'm not as worried as I think that I should be, and that's what's concerning me a little a little bit at this point. I'm like, why aren't you more worried? I'm like literally more excited.
it's not even like my main team, but I'm just like, I don't know. I think like I'm also like worried because like maybe from a more selfish perspective, one, it's fantastic for me like if a team in Madrid goes through, and I don't want Real Madrid to go through. So Atletico, and two, whoever wins this match is who Chelsea would face if they beat Real Madrid, which again, we don't know, but I really don't want to face Man City again in the Champions League. I hate playing English teams in the Champions League. I find it terrible. I can't take the banter, like absolutely not. Thanks again for the super chat. City's 2-5 now. I don't think that's happening. I think that that's a little bit much.
Yeah.
I don't see that happening. I see somebody posting like, does anybody speak Spanish? I posted a video all in Spanish. It's interviewing Real Madrid fans on the streets. So if you want to see a video of mine in Spanish, don't judge my Spanish, please. It's my second language. But you have that we have content for everybody in all language, not in all languages, but in 2 languages here. So take a look at that if you haven't seen it already. Ken, what's your score prediction for this match?
Yeah, as I said earlier, I think that we're going to cancel each other out, so I'm going to go 1-1. That might seem a little bit wild, especially if you watch City play and you know how they play. But yeah, I just think tactically we've gone defensive. So if we let any more than a goal in, it's going to be a little bit of a failure on our part defensively. So I would hope that we didn't. So yeah, 1-1.
Nice.
I'd be happy with that as well. I'd be really happy with that.
So you can bring it back to the Wanda Metropolitano and then try to get the win. I would be surprised if City lost at home. So that's kind of like the first basis of my prediction. The second basis is, I don't know. I'm feeling like a 1-1 as well. A 1-1.
Honestly, if it's 1-1, I'll be over the moon. That'll be great. I'm happy, really happy with that.
Because I do feel that Atletico could win this tie. So I want to predict something where it's close enough that I feel that they could do it. So let's see. Let us know what your score predictions are, guys. But the game does start in 10 minutes. So I'm going to be closing this out. I'm actually going to a bar to watch this game, which I never do. So maybe I'll post like some stories on Instagram or something because I'm sure there will be a lot of Atletico fans there. And it will be kind of fun to have like a mix of atmosphere because usually I'm just by myself on the couch watching the games. So.
Yeah, that was so good. So good.
Well, Ken, thanks so much for joining, and let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, just this is my art. It's YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, whatever. It's all Kendall Run. I am going to do a watch along for the game as well because, as I was saying to Ellie earlier, I was meant to be there, but sadly my daughter's got chicken pox. So obviously I can't go, which is now the second athletic game in a row that I couldn't make through circumstances completely out of my control. So yeah, I wish I was there, but if we get pumped, then obviously I'm glad I wasn't there. But yeah, if you want to just check me out, I will be doing a watch along on YouTube and Twitch. So yeah, I'll just be Kendall Rowan if you want to check me out there.
Awesome. So exciting. So guys, hope that you enjoyed this day. Chock full of content. There's literally so much content to be watched. And yeah, tomorrow's a new day with even more content coming up. So hope that you enjoy. I'm getting really excited and nervous for the game. I don't know why. But I'm just excited to watch Champions League football. I freaking love it. Guys, have a great rest of your days. And yeah, let's see what happens. Until next time, we're out. Bye.